Welcome to the Rising from Ashes Gray Stream, coming to you from the home office of Drawing the Circle Productions on Easter Sunday 2019. I know that we have a wide variation of people with spiritual backgrounds and practices here in the Words of Grace Facebook group. And if you're watching this on YouTube as well, just know that, you know, all who harm none are welcome. I coined that phrase for the silver broom, but it's still kind of how I roll. As long as you're not coming with pitchforks and torches, I'm good. Harm none, harm none, harm none. So I figured since it was Holy Week, Holy Weekend, and that vibe was in the air, we talked a little bit about rising from ashes, but of course, that's sort of jumping in towards the end of the story. How about going to ashes? Well, the process of birth, death, and rebirth is continual. If you're a pagan, aligning yourself with, you know, the cycles of nature and all of that, everything that waxes wanes, all that wanes dies, is reborn at new and waxes again. It's just the tides, it's natural law, right? And, you know, which as pagans, we're supposed to be all about aligning with natural law, which means that really we should only experience death during fall and winter and rebirth and growth during spring and summer. And we know it's not like that because we also have cycles of the moon and all that. But I think working with the symbolism of Easter, of crucifixion and resurrection, is helpful because it's so in the vernacular. And we've all been through crucifixion. Crucifixion, let's see, what does that feel like? Well, you're sort of being held down, repressed, vulnerable. Could you be in a more vulnerable emotional position than like this? Your heart exposed, right? And then shit just comes at you to kill you, right? Now, I'm going to guess that none of you are literally crucified unless you're into sort of that thing. So if you've been literally crucified, I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it's your thing. But we've all been symbolically crucified, right? What is crucifixion? It is a process of, it's a blend of pain and suffering. So, you know, when you hear people say, get off the cross, someone needs the wood, it's that they are playing their crucifixion and delaying their resurrection, right? It's a martyr thing, right? Drag that cross, oh, the cross that I bear. And we all have crosses that we bear, but doing this grace stuff, we find that those crosses aren't the burdens that they are interpreted to be, but they are often the emotional baggage from unprocessed experience. In other words, we have experiences that we have not embraced, healed, raised into truth, whatever you want to call it, that alchemizes it as something that is happening for us. And therein lies, for me, at least an intellectual key of grace of understanding crucifixion, that this crucifixion, this vulnerability, this devastation emotionally, right? Because how much of suffering, yes, there is physical pain, but what is the part of emotional suffering? How do you feel about the physical pain? There's so many levels and layers of just the crucifixion part that you can go down the crucifixion rabbit hole and never emerge again. Akin to going into the underworld and never rising again. And there are people who, though in bodies, are trapped in the underworld. I thankfully have the revolving door speed pass, right? The underworld easy pass. I get to come and go, particularly when you choose Hades as your patron of the year. But so little is spoken about the actual resurrection. I mean, it's in there. And yes, I'm talking the story of Jesus the Nazarene, which, can we get this out of the way, please? His name was not Jesus. That is Latin. His name was Yeshua with a Y. Joshua. Josh. Joshy C in the house, yo, yo, yo. And you know what? For a pagan, I have a very healthy relationship with Yeshua. Ben Joseph is the wisdom teacher of enlightenment that he was, and I don't think he ever intended to have a religion spring up around him, but what are you going to do? shit, what people do with your work, right? Wouldn't it be funny if 100 years from now there was the Church of Maoism, like I'm already gone off the planet and probably reincarnated as something else? I don't think I would attend a church that would have me as its, well, I did attend a church that had me as its leader, but I wasn't the only leader. So let's talk a little bit about rising from the ashes or resurrection. Now, there are those who say that, Jesus didn't go up on the cross, that I don't care. I don't care anymore about so much what literally happens. What is the archetypal story? What are the mystical cues and clues that we're giving from the mythology, from the story? And just because something's mythology doesn't mean it didn't happen. It's the story that rises around what happened in the collective unconscious as well as in our own personal lives. We have personal mythologies. Boy, that's a whole other talk right there. But there is a formula in the story of the crucifixion and resurrection of Jesus Christ, Yeshua ben Joseph, which ben Joseph means son of Joseph. So it's Josh, son of Joe. I know it's Josh, son of Joe. Not the same guy. Definitely not the same guy. The formula, and I've been doing this, oh my God, this you'll either love me or hate me for, but I've been doing this for at least 30 years. If on the first Good Friday, which wasn't such a Good Friday, I mean, I guess it depends on your perspective, which side you're on, Jesus was nailed to his cross. I was raised with so many jokes around that alone, I'm not going to touch. So he's up on his cross, right? And what if his attitude was, wait till my dad finds out about this, you're all screwed, right? Because wouldn't you be? Wouldn't you be? Fuckers, look what you did. Look, innocent man, tried to help people, tried to heal people, was essentially telling people to love. They nailed him to a cross. Why is it that so many of us stay closeted in our spirituality? I think we have some pretty good historic examples. So whether you're nailed to a cross or burned at the stake, you see the theme? But when he went up on the cross, according to the story, that's not what he did. What he did, he said, Father, forgive them, they know not what they do. That forgiveness is the alchemical element that transforms the lead of crucifixion into the gold of resurrection. The issue with that is that the version of forgiveness that we were raised with in this life and in other lives past is what the Course in Miracles, I don't know that it's always what we were taught, but a good chunk of it is what the Course in Miracles calls forgiveness to destroy. Oh, I'll forgive you because I'm going to be spiritual. You still did it. You still victimized me, but I'm going to forgive you and never forget that you did it, right? Nothing heals. You could say that is the ego's version of forgiveness, and in a way, a very childish version of forgiveness, because the childlike version of forgiveness is everybody's doing the best that they can. I'm doing the best that I can. Everybody's learning. We didn't know. We didn't know. You didn't know. We didn't know what we were doing. We were believing something that wasn't true. We were believing that we were victims, which just the idea of victimization, yes, there is an archetype called the victim archetype, has all this stuff in it. It's in there, like Prego, it's in there. It really does defy universal truth that we are all one. So who's victimizing who? Who's the victimizer? When we look at how much we actually victimize ourselves and incur our own suffering, even when the world has crucified us. What? Through distance, through divorce, through death, through bankruptcy, through loss, through abuse, through neglect. The means of crucifixion are many. Just call them JC, rock and roll. So Grace, the human, the soul in the body called Grace, just said the phoenix, right? The phoenix rising from its ashes. But what we don't get in the story of the phoenix is that element, that alchemical piece of it that is forgiveness. I call that the philosopher's stone. I know it's Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, but that's only in the United States and the United Kingdom. It's the Philosopher's Stone, which is the alchemical ingredient. I feel like that is that element of forgiveness, that everyone is doing the best that they can, myself included. Lowercase s, uppercase s, walking this path, following the clues, loving what rises, particularly if you're working with grace. There's something to be said about you are reaching for new paradigm spirituality, spirituality that is forward looking as well as heart-centered. Now again, crucifixion, it's hard to be heart-centered when someone comes from your heart. Oh, like look at betrayal. Isn't betrayal and deception just like holy fuck alls? One of the biggest forms of crucifixion, being lied to, right? Being deceived, all of that stuff. Oh, it's so painful. We feel so betrayed. But where does the knife go in? Is it a knife in your thigh? Is it a knife in your eye? Spirit guides, I'm rhyming. No, it's a knife in the back. And where in the back? The lower back? The upper back? Right in the heart, right? So it's like crucifixion from behind. I almost said anal crucifixion. Oh, I just did say anal crucifixion. Thank you, Carrie Fisher. So, I mean, if you were all my private students, I'd say make a list of every way that you can remember that you've been crucified. You'd work on that shit for weeks, all right? Volumes. Issues like tissues. Pull one out, there's another one right under it. But if I ask you, how have you risen from that? You're going to find that we're still dragging some of those crosses from those crucifixions because we didn't do the alchemy. In other words, everything that we need to heal is present, cross included. So I'm going to jump now from crucifixion and resurrection to rising from ashes. In shamanic culture, we have the vision quest. Vision quest is, something that you go out on your own into the wilderness. You dig your grave in some way, shape, or form, and you stay in it for 3 days and 3 nights until your power animal, your totem animal, it's called different things by different people, comes and rescues you, which usually meant that you killed it, ate it, and took its spirit into your body, which makes my totem a coffee bean from Sumatra. And then you were given that life force, you were given that and able to rise from the grave, right? So the theme is universal, at least global. In the mystery schools of ancient Egypt. Now, by the way, who the fuck knows what happened? They didn't have YouTube, right? But the idea is you would go through the mystery school of the left and or right eye of Horus, the god Horus. This is what I learned through Drunvalo Melchizedek in the Flower of Life workshop. Man, back in the 90s. That, you'd go through all this preparation, and the last part of it, if you survived it, was to spend 3 days in the sarcophagus in the center of the Great Pyramid of Giza. And if you lived, you passed. Wow, talk about a pass-fail, man. Woo. In other words, well, just like American Horror Story, right? It's like one of the 7 wonders. Dissension, right? Getting down's easy. Getting down is easy. Sorry, I just had a James Brown flash. It's the return, right? So the crucifixion isn't the issue, is it? That's just going to happen. That shit's scripted. But the rising. For me, now I'm so tuned to when a trap door opens and I slip and slide my way down into the underworld, that I'm more in that frame of mind, or I have that lens of, oh, okay, something's going on here that I have to embrace, that I have to love, that I have to heal. Now, the word heal is so confused with the word cure that the working with grace, being a channel of grace, not about curing, It is about healing beyond reason. But here's the thing. If you use reason, you won't forgive. Not really. Because you can't talk yourself, you can't think yourself out of crucifixion or descent into the underworld. You have to cross a body of water. You have to cross the river Styx. There's a part of it that's just emotional. There's a part of it that really is about unveiling what is hidden in your heart, which not just your heart chakra, your true heart, your core, your soul, that is immortal, that is eternal, that has stored all of the knowledge and wisdom and information from lifetime to lifetime. As it evolves within you, all of these things coming to you, including crucifixion, including loss, including abuse and neglect and codependency and addiction and all of that stuff, is to call forth that soul in order to heal. In other words, the mind does not heal. The mind needs healing. The soul heals. And there is a rather popular Caroline Myss quote that says it's not the mind, the soul knows how to heal, but the mind has to be quieted or silenced first. And we're not really big on silencing our mind here in the West, particularly on the East Coast. So I thought what I would do today, we'll do questions and stuff, but I'm kind of saving the prayer and the practice for the very end so that you get under your belt a nice flavor of this archetypal pattern of death and rebirth, going to ashes and rising from ashes, crucifixion, resurrection, the vision quest, the shamanic descent, which is what I call it. Weekend field trip to the underworld. Honey, I have rental property there that I manage, apparently. No, but right inside the gates of the Palace of Hades, so it's not what you know, it's who you know. And who knows you. And certainly, there are spells for this thing too. You never really see forgiveness-based magic. It's rare when you see it. Like witches are like revenge first, forgiveness maybe someday, right? But having been extremely well trained in that path, I can tell you it's not healthy. I think you know that, otherwise you wouldn't be interested in the work of grace. Once you get under your belt, it's like, oh my God, this is a universal archetypal pattern that everybody goes through. And it is, I don't want to say always in retrospect, but often in retrospect, if you've done your best, you're willing to forgive. Oh God, that word willing, choosing to forgive. Course in Miracles says all it takes is a small willingness consistently applied. I don't know how to forgive this, but I want to. All I know is this hurts. All I know is this sucks. All I know is I had something I wanted and I don't anymore. Or I wanted something and I'm not going to get it. And it's just don't know how to forgive this. Don't even want to, but I'm willing. Show me. That really the prayer for a miracle, which is a shift in awareness from fear to love, the alchemical addition of true forgiveness, quantum forgiveness to the mix. The true prayer for that is, and I'll put it in my language, oh, dear God, Goddess, all that is, higher self, Zeus, Buddha, Jesus, Fred, Wilma, whoever, help me see this differently. Help me see this as part of the divine plan. Help me see this as something that has been delivered hot and piping right to me, for me. In other words, it was brought to me, but it is for me. I'm seeing more and more and more, particularly working on the Path of True Love ebook, and I am writing fresh new stuff for it. So it seems like the transcribed material is going to be, I don't want to say filler, but it's going to like fill in blanks there. That with the Path of True Love, everything that's been happening to me for the past 3 years or so, particularly in terms of romantic, intimate relationship, have been to squeeze out of me the abandonment, the rejection, the deception, the lies, all of that emotional baggage. Now, had I dealt with that all at once, oh, talk about a weekend workshop. Ooh, No thanks. How graceful that it was stretched out over 3.5 years. Oh, not to mention the business crucifixion. But you know what? It's easier for me to see the resurrection of Drawing the Circle Productions after its crucifixion, because it is obvious relationships so trickier. Oh, the gates of heaven are entered 2 by 2. In other words, through your one-on-one relationships, that your biggest lessons are delivered. That I'm really seeing that no matter what anyone does, and I don't just mean the romantic relationships, I mean the familial, the friends and the ex-friends, and the boyfriends and the ex-boyfriends, and the lovers and the ex-lovers. I mean, my relationships, oddly enough, with my siblings are really good, one-on-one. And my relationships with, you know, Tara, mom, and Zeus, stepdad, which I just call him dad, they're all really good. Like, it's no one's more shocked than I am. I just called her today after my friend Michelle left, and we were talking about what we do in the shadows. That's our favorite topic. It's a really funny show if you haven't caught it on FX. But I look at those relationships and I'm like, you know what? No matter what any boyfriend or lover ever did to me, which is still in stages of pulling the nails out of my hand, right? Climbing down off that cross, building a fire and rising from them ashes. Oh, there's a nice mixed metaphor there. I've healed a lot of my familiar relations. You know, growing up psychologically, as I was learning and studying psychology, I learned that every relationship you have starts with your relationship with your mother and father. Now, as a mystic, I know there's a level higher than that. It's your relationship between the god and the goddess, which is mirrored in your relationship with your mother and father, but then it does make sense. You know, if your father was abusive, you might date people who are abusive. And by the way, it changes genders. So in other words, you could be dating your, like I'm gay, so I have dated men who have been mirrors of my mother, and I have actually worked with and for women who mirrored a lot of my father. So it's not always so on the nose that way. But when you see that, oh my God, I have been through so much crucifixion. I'll wait until, you see, okay, so here's the schedule of books. Right, we have Spell Ingredients done, we have Words of Grace done, Path of True Love is in the hopper, right? It's one being worked on. Then I've got Vampires and Witches I want to do. Then we want to do Chakras and Sabbats. But eventually there are 3 autobiographies: The Professional Witch, The Vibrational Hedonist, and To Be a God. Well, The Vibrational Hedonist is the one where I kind of spill about all the men in my life. Everyone will be pseudonymed except those that are warnings to the rest of the world. Watch out for this one. I mean, I've got those stories. So whoever it is that I'm with, now I don't want to break it down to, you know, the quickie hookup. Those tend to be pit stops. Change your fluids, as it were. Maybe there's a part of that in that too. But really, the romantic stuff is what I have left, I'm guessing. I'm even not so hating on politicians so much anymore, because I've integrated that, sending them grace. In other words, all right, every time you drive a nail into someone's hand, it goes into yours first. Anyone that you even psychically crucify, let alone what you can do with a candle and some rusty nails, right? The nails go in your hands first. A chain against my brother is a chain against myself. So it's so funny what the ego does with that. It turns into, well, then no more judging. No, we're not allowed to judge. We're not allowed to judge. And of course, we drop discernment along with that, baby out with the bathwater. And what happens? We end up getting crucified again. So there's something to this thing of, okay, this is the path I'm walking. I'm working grace the best I can. True compassion is knowing that everyone is doing the very best that they can do, and that is stunning. It is, in that everybody's doing the best that they can. It's truly stunning. Okay, I had a prop set up ahead of time. Sue me. No, don't. You don't want my lawyers coming for you. Legal crucifixion, right? But it's so funny, if you look at the world right now, isn't the world just being crucified? Like, economically, ecologically, politically, right? Just wars and terrorism. What is that stuff the external manifestation of, if not the internal, unfinished crucifixion and pain in the collective pain body as well as our own personal one? And really, they blend. So your work, your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to say, all right, in this time of turbulence, in this time of planetary crucifixion, or if you like, structures turning to ash. Somebody asked me what I thought about Notre Dame burning. I said, Our Lady's fine. She's everywhere. She is the stones, right? The Divine Mother, Our Lady, right? Oh, our Dame, Our Lady. No, she is everywhere. She is everything. She is your bones, your blood, your breath. But I think we got a real tarot moment, didn't we? We really got the card of the tower. And who knows what set it off. Meanwhile, there were all these explosions. Sri Lanka, you know me in names and geography, not necessarily my thing either. But what you can do to play your role is go, okay, this is happening for all of humanity. Not a reason. What's the reason? Oh, reason will only take you so far. Oh, here we go. I'll forgive him once I know why. I'll forgive her once she apologizes. Give me a reason to forgive you. Well, I mean, if you want a reason, the reason is you don't heal until you do. Life moves at the speed of forgiveness. The deadly sin of sloth has a lot to do with you being slow to forgive, unwilling to forgive. That's just true. That's just true. So what can we do? We can center ourselves in grace on the daily. As I said before, it's less and less of a spiritual practice for me, and it's just my path now. To bless people silently wherever I go, send them grace. I bless you with grace. My new one has been, I bless you with all the joy your heart desires, which is a bit of a mouthful for the teller at Citibank. Just do it silently. My conduct flowing that I will tell a joke. I will be kind. I'm always cracking up the cashiers at Stop and Shop. They love me. They're like, come here, come to my lane. And I totally do. Why? Because I used to work in the public sector that way. So I'm very, very kind to people that way. So there's there's something that I can do. Seems like little, but you know, you deal with what shows up in the outside world as an opportunity for you. And if it hurts, remember it's a trigger, that no one is responsible for what rises in you. You are responsible. If anything, when the nails of crucifixion are being sharpened and the boards are being aligned at a 90-degree angle, it's hard in that moment, sure, I'll agree, to say, oh, this is happening for me. No, just be normal about it. Cry, scream, even fight back if you gotta. But I find that even whatever people do, the pain they may inflict comes from their own suffering. But the suffering that we create, make is a better word, that we make up a lot of suffering because of what they did, those are the crosses that we bear. And so if we can embrace and love that as it rises, that child inside of us, that victim inside of us, the one that feels sabotaged and wants to sabotage, the vengeful voices, and the ones that are willing to sell our self-esteem downstream just to get out of it, right? Well, let me just stay in the toxic situation because it's easier than blowing up my life. As far as I've seen, that's like begging the gods to blow up your life, right? You're given warnings. Do you all remember this? The gods start with, Mark, and you're like, oh, Penny Dreadful's on. Mark, it's like RuPaul's Drag Race is on. Mark, can you see I'm getting late at the moment? And then the house fucking falls on you, right? We can catch these things when we're willing, when we're sort of, I don't want to say crucifixion ready, but when we're really leading with the heart. What would love do? What would love do? To allow that vulnerability, that our safety lies in being open-hearted. Not that shit's not going to happen. It is going to happen. But do you want 3 days in the sarcophagus or 3 years? A little symbolic on the nose, Mark. Do you want to just do a holy weekend or a holy crap 10 years of it? That healing then moves at the speed of forgiveness. How quickly are you willing to forgive? And I mean really forgive, which is to say, I don't even know how to forgive this. But if what I'm learning in terms of knowledge is that everybody's doing the best that they can, and they're doing to me what was doing to them, and they don't even know it, well, then what is my role here? I don't know, but I'm willing to find out. God, Goddess, higher self, whoever. Crystal on my third eye, chamomile tea in my belly. Help me forgive this. I am willing. Then that's going to cut down on the amount of time you're up on the cross. And isn't it just fun to be around people who are on crosses? Look, I'm a spiritual counselor. That's why I charge people $100 an hour. That if they're going to tell me that same story over and over and over again, I'm getting paid for it. You know, and I try not to roll my eyes, and I usually don't, although my third eye's doing cartwheels a lot of times. That why do we cling to our crosses? Why? Cross clinging with Mark A. Lyons. Why do we do that? Because we've become so identified with the pain and suffering. It's become who we are, or who we think we are. We will never be that. Right? It's even in our language. I'm an abuse survivor, right? Even that term survivor. I don't want to be a survivor. I want to be a thriver. I want to be a liver. Not like liver and onions liver, but I think you know what I mean. So even though we have suffered and been crucified and reduced to ashes, it gives us a false identity. Victim, cross carrier, martyr. Now, they're redirecting me. You know, the martyr archetype is a very high holy archetype. Every archetype is neutral, has both its lead and its gold, its shadow and its light. You're all familiar with the shadow. Martyr. It's people who use pain and suffering to control and manipulate other people. And I have more examples, and you have more examples that you can count. Look, I'm sorry if you have gluten intolerance or, you know, whatever that, is it celiac? You know me in names. But don't try and fucking guilt me because I'm eating gluten, right? People who have peanut allergies, I get it. Nut allergies, they are fucking lethal. One of my best friends, Mark Rouser, not just allergic to nuts and seafood of all kind, allergic to chocolate. Oh, but he never martyred. He never did. He's like, no, you eat your thing, I'll be fine. You know, he never played it as a, I can't believe I'm going to use this word, trump card to get his way. So what is the gold side? What is the light side of the martyr? One who suffers for a greater good. Suffers without complaining, I would think, because they get that the suffering that they're going through is lead waiting to be alchemized into gold. Pain waiting to be embraced. Fear waiting to be loved. Into freedom. And it's not easy. It's not. If it was easy, honey, we would all hit enlightenment back in Nazareth. But it took lifetimes and lifetimes and lifetimes to set up the scripts that we're living now. For our soul's journey from life to life to life to accumulate enough baggage, perfectly timed, for us to now start unpacking and alchemizing and transforming for the well-being of all. That there is a place where our pain and suffering is everybody's pain and suffering. Holographic reality. Now, technically an illusion, but a holographic thing. That what is in the one is in the all, and what is in the all is in the one, right? So before we end tonight, I want to take a couple of questions, but before we end this, I will do a prayer and a spiritual practice, not so that maybe that happens in the present moment. Maybe it does, nothing like a lightning miracle out of nowhere, I get them. But so that at least we create a space and say, I don't even know what I'm willing to do, but show me, right? You have to choose whether you want to be a victim or a victor. For how long do you want to carry that cross on your shoulders or that emotional baggage grudge? Well, here's the thing. We say that now, but we didn't know better. So we've carried it from lifetime to lifetime, hence attracting the same souls that we went through shit with over and over and over. What you call karma. Oh, I must know you from another life. You know, I was talking to Michelle today about twin flames and soulmates, and you know, there's still such a blur between them because I believe there is also a hybrid twin flame soulmate, which is rare but happens. And why wouldn't I fucking get one of those? That twin flames, they're intense, they're passionate, they're often too hot not to cool down. But it is turbulent. It's up and down and left and right and very crucifixy. Crucifixion, Fiction. But soulmates are satisfying, right? That it seems that the twin flames are the ones that either crucify you or you crucify yourself because of them. And the soulmates are the ones that are either there to help you pull the nails out of your hands or catch you once you've done it out of yourself. You know, you pull them out and they catch you. And like, it's like, here, it's okay. So what do you do in the meantime, right? You become the mate of your own soul. You give yourself the love, the acceptance, the grace that you so want the twin flame to give you, but they can't. You know why they can't? They're not scripted to. Because I find the soulmates in my life, you know, talk about soulmates. Michelle and I haven't seen each other for maybe 10 years. But we went to high school together. We went to the Board of Cooperational Educational Services for Performing Arts in Syosset. We were the fame generation because we want to live forever. We're going to learn how to fly. And I always wanted that pull chain with the bucket, but it was a little more carry than flash dance at the end of the day. So I passed on the pig's blood. She's a soulmate. Here we are. I don't have that relationship with that I have with her. I mean, we rode the same bus to BOCES and back home again. We used to hang out on Deer Park Avenue in Deer Park and get pizza. It was a wonderful time. My junior and senior year of high school were a lot of fun with Michelle. But that's a soulmate. It's like we've never had turbulence. We maybe bickered and argued, but we were teenagers at the time. It was so good, and pick up right where you left off, right? To me, that's a soulmate thing. We're not here to push each other's buttons, though that may happen. We are here to serve each other and help each other heal, right? The hallmark. Hi, Aaron. Hi. Ooh, that's good. I don't know what I said, but ooh, that's good. Good. Good, good, good. So does anyone have any questions? It is 4:42 here on my clock. So if there are no questions, I will go into the practice and the prayer. And then I'm going back to work on the book, Path of True Love. I'll tell you this, I've been through the ringer this past week working on this book in terms of stuff rising, in terms of fear and doubt. And boy, the chapter on doubt is really good. Doubting the path, right? Just part of it. And a friend of mine said, well, is this, you know, you're going through this. Should you be writing this right now? And I said to him, well, it's authentic. There's no shame in this book. It's all just about, it's raw. A lot of it's raw. And of course, that's why we have Jill to kind of think, sweetheart, do you think calling him a stupid father fucker was going a bit too far? I don't do that, but I am a father fucker. All right, so I'm not seeing any questions. You're all being amazingly quiet. So let's go into a little prayer, a little practice, a little grace in your face. Just making sure no other questions popping in. No, we're good. Let's take a moment. Take a moment. Oh, by the way, before you close your eyes, I had to re-angle the camera because before I was sitting under the lamp that way and the light was on and it was a little too on the nose for Easter Sunday. So I didn't do it, but I did bring over my beautiful new babies there. I love my orchids. Orca, she's a whale of a good time. All right. I'm a father fucker too. See, but FF has a different connotation online, so let's not use that. Let's not use that because prolapse. Sorry, I can't believe I said that. Oh, I got prolapse jokes out the ass. Let's take a moment and pray. From the profane to the sacred in one deep breath. Take a few deep breaths. Close your eyes if you like. Don't gotta. But let us be heart-centered. Let us symbolically open our arms to open the heart. And give that heart center some breath. Some breath that says, here, my gift to you. Some mindful, technically mindless awareness. Just be aware. You can place your hand on your heart if you like. And it's from this place I pray. Dearest God, Goddess, all that is. You know better than we do what our baggage is. And you know way better than we do what the collective baggage of all of humanity is, let alone the baggage of all of life. That in a world of duality, the third dimension, as we have been traversing for millennia, if you're going to have pleasure, you got to have pain. And if you're going to have joy, you got to have sorrow. Being that we move away from pain and towards pleasure, it's no shock to you, I'm sure, that we have avoided the very alchemy necessary to rise from ashes. And so we carry those ashes with us, adding to the pressure within our own cells and the pressure within our own world. So we ask now that you please flood us with grace, and we will start with the gateway goddesses. Please grant us the maiden grace of humility to know that we do not know how to forgive, but we are willing to, even if we've successfully done it before. There is one lesson learned again and again until fully generalized to all of life. And even if that word, forgiveness, triggers us because of the way it has been used to beat ourselves up and beat up others, we are willing to be shown what the truth of that word is in our own direct experience. Help us. Please grant us the mother grace of hope that somehow all of the pain and suffering is woven into a tapestry of a divine plan that is for the well-being of all. That there is no healing without wounding. And in hope that whatever rises within us, regardless of what anyone does to trigger us near or far, is there to be healed and can be healed by our loving what rises, by our opening our hearts to our own interior world. That may be the golden thread leading us through the labyrinth to rebirth. And of course, please download into us in every cell the crown grace of endurance. And we draw upon a strength beyond this world, a love beyond this world, a wisdom beyond this world, that we may do whatever is necessary to rise from our ashes, that we can forgive what we conceive to be the unforgivable in ourselves and others. That if we are truly the children of the gods, and this is truly a scripted film, the celluloid already in the can, we're watching quantum versions of it, watching a movie, then we really have done nothing wrong. We've never done anything wrong, and neither has anyone else. We've all been unconsciously playing our role. So may the maiden, the mother, and the crone join hands around us all, empowering us with the graces at their core, blessing us with everything that we need to step through the gateway to resurrection, to rising again, like spring, like sap, like an erection, not just a resurrection. Let us grow as a result of this. Help us grow as a result of this. And as we learn how to truly forgive, quantum forgive, not only will our own chains break, we will be breaking them for all of life, being truly hopeful, transforming pain into peace, suffering through silence into serenity, loneliness into oneliness, guilt into gladness. And you know, I could go on. And as we prepare to move into Beltane, coming soon to a chakra near you, and as we move from solar plexus to heart, there is where we will find the greatest undeveloped capacity of the heart chakra is forgiveness and compassion. But continue to bring to us the relationships we need, the teachers, the way showers, the twin flames, and the soulmates, so that we can play our role, that we can be the open doorways of heaven and earth, that we can be the very crucible itself that holds the lead in place as the fires of transformation and crucifixion alchemize all into gold. And breathe. Prayer's not over, but just breathe. Pick one person that you know you need to forgive or have been working on forgiving. You can generalize this to other people later, but just pick one. No one's going to know their names. No one's going to know who they are. God, Goddess, all that is. I surrender this person in this relationship to you. May it serve your purposes. I don't know how this will end, but I do know that it is a means to my own healing, the means to miracles, the means to healing beyond reason, the means of grace, the next and current stepping stone on the path home. I don't know how to forgive this. Trying. I don't know how to embrace it, but I'm trying. And I am willing to. I am willing to forgive. I am willing to embrace and heal. I am willing to cut slack. I am willing to be the answer to someone else's prayer by fulfilling my role. And sometimes that is walk the fuck away. Leave them be. Bless them from afar. While I rise what heals. While I embrace and love what rises within myself for healing. God, Goddess, all that is, may this activity of forgiveness begin with me. Let there be grace on earth and let it begin with me. Let me fill and overflow. So that even those casual, apparent strangers in my life will be blessed just by walking through my energy field. That I may be aware that the more I give away grace, the more I am forgiven and given grace. Thank you. Take them. Show me. And let love conquer all again and again and again. So mote it be. Amen. Yeah. Yeah. Hey. I can't believe it's 4:53. How y'all doing? Yeah, that calls for a cigarette. I know, I've been smoking at the end of these things. I usually don't, but fuck it. There's my altar behind me. Any questions, any comments, people? Or are you all too stunned? Are you stunned? Stun? Are you having a stun moment? Okie dokie. I'm feeling at peace. Today's been a good day, bad day. It's been a day. It's been a good day. Michelle, again, thank you so much for dropping by today. It was so good to see you, and you're always welcome. And when you're hitting the beach, let me know. I'm totally down. Thank you, Kim. Oh, I know, right? Rise, rise. I'm having a Maya Angelou moment, but rise, rise. You know, even though most of us did it at Ostara, it's still an ongoing process. And may the blessings of this holy day prepare us for Beltane. Oh, and remember, I'm speaking at Beltane May 4th. I'm going to bring my cameras and I got to get a new tripod and stuff, but I am going to tape that for eventual release. Cool. I struggle forgiving my mom a lot because she keeps doing it. Well, here's the thing with that. When we repeat a lesson with the same person or, you know, somebody else, after my dad died, I dated him in 9 different bodies. So, you know, it really is about making the shift of what Gary Zukov calls the compassionate return of the universe. It's not that you're fucking up. It's just that it keeps coming back until you do the alchemy, until you learn what you have to get. And if you knew how to do it, you would, right? It's like we can't expect children to know how to drive a car, right? It's just not how that works. So what practice? Not fake it till you make it. I'm as honest as fuck nowadays with myself and my practice. But to keep coming back to that well that never dries, that never ends. All right, she did it again. What's my role? What would you have me do? Where you would have me go? What you would have me say and to whom? And what are the chances? It's about go inside, talk to that kid. Give that kid the love, the understanding, and the grace that your mom can't right now. Because then, you know, it's so funny. We let go of the tug of war rope. We let go of the rope, and then there's a miracle happens. Otherwise, everybody have a really, really graceful Sunday evening, a good week. Check in if you need. And we're doing the Q&A next Sunday at 4 p.m. So start writing down your questions. If I have like 5 or 6 of them when I start, that's a good thing I can prep for. Cool? But for now, holy smoke, hail, farewell, and blessed be.